Welcome back to the channel, my friends, and everyone in between. In this video, we're going to go over some bash scripting and how you can use it for your bug bounty adventures. Now, if you're not familiar with what bash is, that makes two of us. I'm just kidding, guys. Bash is my favorite operating system. Wait, what? Anyways, let's do some recon automation on some domains and expose some secrets using the Born Again shell this week on the Secret Letters of a Hacker. Cue the intro.
Camera action.
All right, guys, let's talk about our reconnaissance automation. The first thing we want to do in recon is look for subdomains, right? So there's two ways that I go about doing this. The first way and the quickest way is to reach out to Project Discovery, more specifically Chaos. And if you're not familiar with what this is they collect and maintain a list of domains for a lot of your bug bounty programs. So what we want to do is we want to reach out to them and grab their subdomains. Since it's constantly being updated, everybody ends up at the same location with the same domains. So that's one way. Now, the second way is if your target isn't on Project Discovery, we can use tools like AMAS, Subfinder, and let's use Asset Finder. So script 1 will be with Chaos, and script 2 will be with these tools. So once we brute force our subdomains or grab them, however you want to grab your subdomains, it's cool. Let's send it over to HTTPX for verification. And once we know what subdomains are live, let's send it over to Nuclei for vulnerability scanning. And they do a lot more than just that. They tell you the web technologies, any misconfigurations, any CVEs. It's a powerful tool to use. Highly recommend using Nuclei if you're not already using it. A lot of people do use it. And what we want to do is we want to scan all our subdomains with Nuclei, and we want to output only what's legitimate into a file for us, whatever it may be. Output it into a file for some manual, let's say, investigation. And then we also want to do is let's brute force directories using ffuf, because that's always good to do. And then we'll output that into a file as well. From there, we'll take a look at it for some manual investigation as well. We also want to do, let's do subdomain takeovers, and then we'll output that as well into a file, and that will also require some manual investigation. And by manual investigation, I'm talking about burp, and I'm talking about ZA proxy or ZAP. So here is our task at hand. So we have our target. We want to grab the subdomains. However you want to grab them, I'm going to grab them using Chaos in the first script, and then I'll grab them using AMAS, Subfinder, and Asset Finder. We'll then send them over to HTTPX for verification. We'll then send them to Nuclei for vulnerability scanning, web content scanning, services that might be running, and things like that. I'll put that into a file for us. We'll also brute force directories using ffuff. Maybe we'll find some juicy information in there. Save that to a file for some manual investigation. And then, just for fun, let's do subdomain takeovers. So we'll grab all the subdomains from HTTPX, send that over for some subdomain takeover investigation. So now that we have our workflow cut out for us, let's go ahead and start automating this. Alright guys, let's go over the first script. So for this to run, what you have to do is call out to it by doing a autoscript.sh and the domain name. So for example, let's use my domain called darkreadings.com. So autoscript.sh and then the domain you're targeting. So from there, we're going to make some directories. We're going to make our domain directory. We're going to make our subdomains directory under our domain directory. We're going to make our subdomains folder under our domain directory. We're also going to make a folder called intelligence inside our domain directory. And we're going to make a folder called nuclei inside our intelligence folder. So let's jump into subdomain enumeration. We're going to call out to Python 3 and we're going to use a sublister.py. And for me, sublister.py is in my home directory, secret, desktop, sublister folder, sublister.py. And we're going to do a -d. It's going to specify the domain, which again we said was my domain called darkreadings.com. Then going to output it into a file called sublister.txt inside our subdomains folder. So once it does that, we're then going to call out to Subfinder. We're going to do a -d for the domain name, verbose, output it into a file called subfinder.txt, again in the subdomains folder. And then it's going to go out to Asset Finder. We're going to do a -subs only, specify again our domain here, verbose, and we're going to send it out to assetfinder.txt. So now we have 3 text files. Now the problem we're going to run into is duplicates, and we're going to run into subdomains with appended www dot in front of the subdomain for some of them. So what we want is our subdomain, like our subdomain mx.darkreadings.com or something like that. And that's what we're going to do some cleanup down here. So we're going to grab all the text files in our subdomains folder and we're going to combine them into everything called all.txt, duplicates, everything. And then we're going to move all.txt out from subdomains folder and throw it on our desktop. So from there, we're going to sort all.txt. So we're going to sort them all. We're then going to display, or you can think of removing, non-repeated lines. So if I have, so for example, if we have multiple mx.darkreadings, whatever, let's say we have 2 of them or 3 of them because all 3 found the same thing, we want to remove the duplicates. So we'll remove the duplicates and save it in a file called output.txt. Now that's again on our desktop. So what we're going to do then is we need to cat output.txt, and anything that's in there we want to say remove the www dot and save it in a file called no www.txt. So it should be subdomain dot our top level domain, which is darkreadings.com. And then we want to then again sort through no www.txt because we want to sort them all in case there's duplicates in there again, and we need to remove them and only display the non-duplicates, and we're going to call it domains.txt. So now we have no duplicates. So what we have to do next is we have to move domains.txt back under our subdomains folder, which is what this command will do right here. And then we're going to remove all the junk. So we're removing all .txt, we're removing output.txt, and we're removing no www.txt. So now all we have is this text file of non-repeating no www.subdomains. So next we need to see what is live and what is active. So we're going to grab this file here, and we're going to send it to httpx, and we're going to do a -l, and we need to specify the location that the file is located at. So for me, it's in the home directory, secret, desktop, dark readings, because that's the domain we're hunting on. Subdomains folder, boom, domains.txt, output it into a file called httpx.txt. So once it's done scanning, we're going to move that to our home directory, secret, desktop, httpx.txt, and we're going to send it to our Intel folder because by default it's going to save it to our desktop because that's probably where I'm running autoscript.sh at from. So pretty much wherever you're running this script from, that's where it's going to save the file to. So I'm running it from my desktop, which you're probably running it from your desktop as well. You'll probably see a file show up on your desktop called httpx.txt, and we want to put that back under our subdomains intelligence folder, and that's what this command is doing here. So once we have our live subdomains, we're going to send it over to Nuclei for scanning. So let's do a cat. We're going to grab it from our domains directory, intelligence folder, httpx.txt. That's where we moved it to. And we're going to send it over to Nuclei for template scanning. And my templates are located under the home directory, secret, Nuclei templates. And we're going to output whatever positive hits that come back from scanning Nuclei's templates. Now, again, we're sending it through all of Nuclei's templates here. And there are a ton of templates in the GitHub repository for Nuclei. They constantly update them. But if you don't want to scan it against all of Nuclei's templates, you can specify like CVEs or vulnerabilities or whatever have you. You can specify it here. But I'm going to scan it against all of the templates. And then we're going to save it in a file under our domain directory, Intel folder, Nuclei folder, and we're going to call it httpx intel.txt. So whatever positive hits come back will be thrown in this file for us to look at. After the vulnerability scanning, we're going to then reach out to FUF and do some fuzzing. So FUF-U, again, here is my target domain, darkreadings.com. We're going to fuzz it. We're going to do some recursion. We're going to do a -S-W for the word list. And the word list that I'm using is in the homes directory, secret, desktop, file buster, word lists, and I'm using their word list thorough.txt, and I'm gonna output it into our domain directory, Intel, and we're calling it fuzzed.json. So anything that comes back fuzzed will be in this JSON file for us under our intelligence folder. So after we do some fuzzing, we'll do some subdomain takeover with one for all takeover. Now, what we have to do is we have to copy our httpx.txt file, which again is located in the intelligence folder, and we need to send it to one for all. It needs to be in the same working directory for the subdomain takeover to work. So we're going to copy httpx, send it to our home directory, secret, desktop, and one for all is located on my desktop. And to run this, we need to use Python 3, and we're calling out to oneforall.py, and that's located again in the one for all folder, which is on my desktop. And the commands that we're going to output is a -- targets with an S, because we're doing multiple domains, and we need to point it to our file. And our file is again located in the home directory, secret, desktop, one for all, httpx, and the command we're running is a -- takeover true, and make sure you specify run. So that's going to run through our httpx file for us, and it's going to output everything in a few CSV files. And what we want to do is we want to move those CSV files, because we don't want to look in all these different directories for information. We want all our information stored in one central location. So for that to happen, we're going to move our CSV files, all of them. We're going to say move all our CSV files that you found that are in the results folder, which is again located under one for all, desktop, secret, home. And what we want to do is we want to move these CSV files to our domain directory, intelligence folder. So everything will be nice and neat for us to look at. And then finally, because one is not good enough, we're going to do it again with another subdomain takeover called takeover.sh. Now, when this runs, a new box will show up, and it will ask for your file output. And the file that we want to run is httpx, because that is where all our active subdomains are. And again, you're going to have to specify the location of where httpx is located. So again, it should be located in your intelligence folder under your subdomain. So that would look like home. For me, it'll be secret, and then it'll be desktop, and then it'll be darkreadings.com. It'll be Intel, and then httpx.txt. So when the subdomain takeover shows up and asks for the file location, this is what you'll have to put in there, and it'll run through that file again and output everything for you on the screen for your subdomain enumeration. So once you have your file locations set up, again, all you have to do is run a autoscript.sh and then the domain name, example.com. Now, if I was going to use example.com, I would have to come back in here, remove this darkreadings.com, put example.com in here, and remove darkreadings.com here and put example.com in here. That's it. That's all we have to do to run this script. Everything else will be done automatically behind the scenes. So the biggest thing you guys need to do is set up your directories where everything is located for you. This is not going to be the same. This is probably not going to be the same. Wherever sublister is located for you, specify that directory. Same for asset finder, same for sublister, specify the directories. You're going to need to change these directories here. This isn't going to be the same for you. If you want to put it on your desktop like this, all you have to do is change these right here. Remove secret here, remove secret here, put in your location, your directory. And once you do that, guys, this script should run for you no problem. All right, so let's jump into the second script. Let's say you don't want to do brute force subdomains, and you're hunting on a public scope, and you want to reach out to Project Discovery Chaos for your target, because a lot of your public programs will be listed already here on Project Discovery. They update it again almost, I think, every 24 hours, so you can just grab them from there and completely cut out the middleman of subdomain enumeration. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to do a wget, and for this example, I'm going to reach out to 4chan, and it comes in a zip file. And all you have to do is change this portion right here, whatever domain you're hunting on. Again, this is going to be the same. We're going to make the same directories, subdomains, Intel nuclei. What we're going to do differently now is we're going to unzip 4chan with a -d, and we're going to specify the location again, home directory, secret, desktop, 4chan, subdomains. And it's going to unzip all the subdomains and throw them in this folder location for us. And then we're going to do some cleanup and remove 4chan.zip from our desktop. I don't know how many text files come in this zip file. A lot of programs, they'll have multiple text files. It's not common. Like, for example, if you're hunting on mail.ru, you can see tons of text files with different domains in there. So what we want to do is we want to combine all these text files that may come unzipped. So same thing, we're going to cat all the text files that are located in the subdomains directory that we moved, and we're going to combine them into all.txt. Because I don't know what's in there really, I'm not going through thousands of different subdomains one by one. We're going to move again all.txt to our desktop. We're going to sort through them. So we're going to list them all in order, and we're going to remove the duplicates again, and we're going to save it into output.txt. We're going to then cat output.txt that's located on our desktop in our secret home directory, and we're going to remove again everything that has a www dot in front of it, and we're going to call it again no www.txt. And then we're going to again sort those all in order and remove the duplicates, and we're going to call it domains.txt. just like how we did in the auto script. And then we're going to remove all.txt output and no ww for some cleanup. And then it's all basically the same script down here. The only difference is we're grabbing a zip file, and we don't want to manually unzip everything, clean it up, and sort through it. So that's what this is doing up and through here, just kind of like in the last script. So we're going to scan domains.txt, and we're going to then we're then going to save it in a file called httpx.txt, and then we're going to move it back into our intelligence folder. And then it's pretty much, again, the same thing. We're going to send that over to Nuclei for scanning. We're going to fuzz it, and that's going to be a lot of fuzzing to do depending on how big the scope is you're hunting on. So again, we have to specify what we're fuzzing, and we're fuzzing 4chan.org. We're going to do recursion, same thing, same word list, output into a JSON file called fuzzed.json for us to look at for some juicy information. And then again, we're going to go out and see what kind of subdomain takeovers may be possible. So we're going to reach out to one for all takeover. Again, we need to copy HTTPX and send it over to our one for all folder location. And that's where we're going to run it, because oneforall.py is located in one for all desktop secret home directory. Specify targets again because we have multiple domains, and specify the location here, which is HTTPX in the one for all folder desktop secret home directory. And the command we're running is takeover true. Don't forget to type in run, and it'll run it for us. It'll output a bunch of CSV files in a results folder, but we don't want to go looking for that. We want it to be moved into our domain intelligence folder. So we're telling it to move everything that it found, all the CSV files that it found in the results folder, throw it back into our intelligence folder for us to look at. And then again, we're going to reach out to takeover.sh because one subdomain takeover is not good enough. We want to do two. And again, takeover.sh will pop up and it'll say, please specify file location. And you need to specify the file location for HTTPX to run. So again, the file location will be in your intelligence folder. You should see HTTPX. So you would have to specify home. For me, it would be secret desktop. Is it 4chan.org, Intel, httpx.txt, and it'll run through that, and it'll go through and look for subdomain takeovers. And that's it. So to run this autoscript, again, it'll be autoscript.sh, whatever domain you want to call it. Since I'm doing 4chan, it'll be 4chan. And then it'll create this file called 4chan for us on our desktop. And in that file, we'll have all these other files for subdomains, for Intel, for nuclei, and in there will be specific files for us to look at for manual testing we can then go ahead and send it over to burp or ZA proxy or zap for some manual investigation. And that is pretty much it, guys. Once you have your script up and running, you really don't have to do much changing to it. It's the initial setup that will probably cause the most problems, because this is set up for my computer, so these are going to be different for you. This is going to be different for you. Wherever it says secret, just put in your directory location here instead of mine, and it should be good to go. Again, you'll have to change when you do fuzzing, you'll have to change this for whatever domain you're hunting on. So if you're hunting on like Google, you'll put Google here instead, google.com/fuzz. And that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can automate whatever you guys want to automate. You know, use it how you want to use it. I'm sure you guys have other ideas on how to use Bash and things that you want to automate. Feel free to play around with it. I encourage you guys to look into it, check it out. If you're running things manually, think about how you might be able to automate some things to save you some time. So if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, guys. Subscribe to the channel. If you want to grab these scripts, they'll be located on my Patreon page for you to download and play around with. And other than that, thanks for sticking around with me for this long tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next video.